Hey guys, and welcome back to Schneid's 15. If you tuned in for my last video, you seen that we had the same bike in here and we did the front differential change in it, and we're going to keep on with my maintenance series here and go to my next common one that I get asked on, and that's clutch adjustment. So if you're a subscriber, you're probably watching this just because you like keeping up on King Quads and hopefully like my videos. But if you are watching this because you're having clutch issues, I'm going to do a quick explanation on how these work. So there is two clutches. There's, if you know, you probably own one of these bikes that there's no hand lever for a manual clutch. So what takes place of that hand lever is a centrifugal clutch. So your main purpose of what that takes over for is that you don't have to feather out the clutch, and pretty well anybody can hop on these and drive. So when you have two clutch packs, so you have your centrifugal clutch up front and then you have your main clutch pack in the rear. They're both connected through a gear. So what happens when you start up the ATV, that centrifugal clutch at idle speed is sucked in. There's a cone on the outside that has a gear on it, and that attaches to your clutch pack in the back. Your centrifugal clutch is attached to your crankshaft or your motor, so when you start it up, it's spinning in there, around in here. There's three big clutch feet on it, so it's spinning around in there, and then you put it into gear. It engages your gear on your back clutch pack. That's where your shifting is done, and then as soon as you rev up the motor, guys, it's spinning in there. The centrifugal force causes the feet on the clutch, or your clutch pads, to touch the outside of the cup that it spins in, and then that turns together, so it transmits your crankshaft power into the cup that's around it, and then that turns your back clutch pack. And when that clutch pack starts turning, your wheels obviously start turning. So from there on, when you go to shift, you have about 5 discs in your back clutch pack, and that back clutch pack will separate your shifter. Whenever you pull up on your shift lever, it separates the clutches to give your drivetrain slack, and then it can pop into gear, and then those clutches get sucked back together with the springs. They're not sucked to get back together, they get pushed back together with springs, and you go throughout your gears, and every time you shift down, that clutch pack separates, gives your drivetrain some slack, you can go down a gear, and then it goes back together. So if you're having trouble diagnosing it, so if I'm just going to go through this quick, guys, not trying to ramble on here, but if you start up your ATV and you're trying to figure out which clutch it is, if you start it up and you're going to drive, you put it into gear like normal, and you go to drive, and it usually will just engage just off idle and start going ahead. But if you're getting like a vroom, it has to really rev up, and then it goes bang, and then you go ahead. That's always your front clutch, your centrifugal clutch, because the pads are wore and it doesn't grab smoothly. It slips, and then all of a sudden it builds up enough centrifugal force, and bang, and you're gone. So that's always your front one. But if you're engaging smoothly on the front, and say you're driving and you're going up a hill, say in 3rd gear, you should be able to have this thing balls to the wall. You should be able to hammer down, and it should be going and working away and not slipping. But if you're feeling slipping there, that'll be in your rear clutch pack, which usually is not out of spec too much, but usually it's not maintained. So it usually is out of spec. Sorry, I messed up there. But so we're gonna adjust that because they never get touched, and I'm gonna show you how to here. So if it's slipping or just out of regular maintenance you want to, Suzuki recommends that you check your clutch adjustment every 2,000 kilometers. It's a very simple procedure, and let's get started on it. So to get started, you're gonna need a jack. We're gonna jack it up and pull off our right rear tire, and we'll show you the process from there on. Alright guys, so with our back wheel removed here, this is our brake hub. We got our oil filter housing down here. Here is our clutch pack adjustment. So you're going to need a 17mm wrench. Give that a crack. This is the same as the front differential pretty well. It's got a rubber O-ring on here. I got a rag down here because usually oil always comes out of there. But you pull that off and it's going to bring us to the end of our clutch pack. There's our adjustment. So there's a Phillips head screw here, or whatever the Japanese call those, the Aspar, not Aspar. Anyways, they have their own thing. If you're in America, you're going to have a Phillips around, so use that. Next, it looks like 13 mil. I'm going to grab it right now. So we'll need a wrench for that, and we'll get to the process. Alright guys, so ideally you're going to have one of those wrenches that has a box end that drops down, goes way in, so you can get in there like that. I can get in there with mine to hold this still, to snug it, but it's a little bit too loose, or too loose of a fit for me, so I got to use a socket to crack it loose, which is alright. So you'll feel your actual clutch pack spin there, which it did. So now my nut is loose there, so we'll give that a bit of a loosen. Now you make sure that your lock nut doesn't hit first. So we're going to tighten this until we feel resistance. So let me zoom in here for a bit. Actually, this will help you out. So you want to make sure that lock nut's not hitting. So as you can see, I can move that middle freely right there. So we want it to just, Suzuki says, just until you feel resistance. So I loosen off there. That's just resistance right there, just to be sure, resistance. So I'm not squeezing at all, guys. I'm just going like this with my fingers. And I'm just going until it slips. So it's somewhere between, right around there. So it's just so I'm off, I don't know, 2 o'clock position there, 2:30 position, I'd say. So once you do that, we have to go back 1/8 of a turn. It's a very simple procedure. So what I do now is turn my lock nut and just make sure it's close. So I'm hitting, again, I'm hitting right there nicely. Resistance right there. Now my lock nut is loose still, so I tighten that up just closer. So as you can see, I only got a bit of a turn out of it, just so it's closer there. Now, what I found is funny actually is because this Suzuki manual referred to 1/8 of a turn, which I thought was pretty funny that they didn't, because they're all metric, that they didn't go 0.5 of a turn or whatever that would convert to be, but or 0.05 of a turn. So now what we want to do, now that we felt resistance there, we want to go back 1/8 of a turn. So I'm going to classify that, that would be 1/4. There I'm touching. So in turn, if see my one tab right there, if I brought it up to this position where my fingernail is, where this one is, that would be 1/4 turn. So we're going to go half of that. So right there. So now, when you're out 1/8 of an inch, this is why you're supposed to have a wrench to do this, guys, is because you got to tighten this and keep that nut in the same spot. So right there, I'm going to grab onto my screwdriver tight here and give this enough of a snug right here. There we go. And then I'm going to finish off by giving a little torque here. There we go. That hasn't moved. So that's back about 1/8 of a turn. Should have a bit of slack in there. Don't over tighten this, guys. If your clutches are still slipping after you do this, it ain't tightening this up tighter than 1/8 of a turn, 1/16, it ain't gonna help. So yeah, we're done there. We can throw on our cap. Suzuki does not list a torque spec for this, guys, for this lock nut. I checked the manual twice, and there's no torque spec for it that I could find. So it says just to snug it up, and I'm okay with that. And then there's a torque spec for this cap. Make sure your O-ring's nice and clean. But I'm not torquing this. Just thread that in and give it a snug up, and we're done. Alright guys, so as you can see, that's a very simple procedure. All you need is that Phillips head screwdriver, 12mm socket or a wrench. Like I say, it's ideal to have the box end that goes down on a 90 there, so you can put it in there and hold it. And that's 17mm for the cap on the engine. Put your wheel back on, 14mm nuts, and don't forget that there's washers on each one of those, and you're finished. Again, this is one reason why I like these Suzukis, because they have all these access ports and everything is just really well thought out, guys. Like, you don't have to pull the whole case off the side of the motor to do a clutch adjustment. They put an actual service port in them. They were really well thought out bikes, and that's why I thought I'd take the time to make these videos and keep them maintained, because I really like them. And I hope that that you guys can keep them maintained and keep yours on the trails for longer. Anyways, that's just a quick video. I want to make a quick, detailed, close one for you, and I hope it helped. And if it did, please give me a subscribe down here, guys, and stay tuned. Hit that notification button, actually, and it'll update you whenever I upload new videos on these. Yeah, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.
As always, guys, thanks for watching, and please give the channel a like and a subscribe. If my videos interest you, please click on my channel and check out my other videos.